Morning.
Morning.
Well, happy Father's Day, and whether you are a father or not, I'm sure there's been someone in your life that has helped you, and hopefully that you have helped and continue to help. You know, Father's Day kind of came in well after Mother's Day. We celebrated that last month. But actually, the lady that said, you know, we need to celebrate fathers too, was a lady named Sonora Smart Dodd. And she wanted to honor her father, who was a Civil War veteran. I'm not sure of the circumstances, but he ended up a single dad raising 6 children. So she was listening to a Mother's Day sermon and thought, my dad is really important to our family, and I think we need to acknowledge it. So they had a meeting at a YMCA in Spokane, Washington in 1910, and everybody really rallied for that, and it became something very wonderful, because dads don't have an easy time of it, friends. You know, from the time men are little boys, they're told, don't cry, be strong, be tough. They've got a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. Some dads ask to be dads and were thrilled to become dads, others not always. But, you know, a man who can pick up his new child and not go on with that, I can't understand that. A father chooses how he will react to a new child, just as we all react and choose how we react to any event in our lives. But there's just something about a new life that touches everyone's heart, men or women, knowing that this perfect, beautiful little being has come straight from God. And if they could talk, wouldn't it be great if babies could talk as soon as they were born? Think of what we could learn. Think of what we could learn. Because we know as they get older and do start talking, sometimes we cringe, sometimes it just is staggering, the knowledge that little ones have. So if we could just have them come into this world talking, please, we could perhaps receive our guidance earlier. At any rate, after this first meeting in the YMCA building and developing this holiday, it is a holiday, we recognize fathers and fatherhood. It took 58 years to actually get it proclaimed a holiday here in the United States. It has since kind of drifted to other countries as well, which in my opinion is a good thing. If we're going to celebrate mothers, why not celebrate dads as well? You know, there are a lot of fathers. George Washington has always been called the father of our country. He was highly recognized for his military service during the Revolutionary War. He did get this country, the people, together and help get it solidified. And then, of course, we have all the founding fathers, very intelligent and very spiritual men, who established this Constitution, who established the Declaration of Independence. These are remarkable documents. And I must say, when I was in school and we were told about it, I thought, and we had to memorize a little bit of it, and it still did not resonate. I believe you really do need to be an adult, assume a lot of the responsibility in your own life, and then go back and read these documents and see just how insightful they are and how much guidance is in there. Emanuel Swedenborg is known as the father of spiritualism, and he was a brilliant man. He was a scientist, a philosopher, a politician. We won't hold that against him. And a theologian. Look it up and then let me know how I should be pronouncing it, please. But you know, before spiritualism came to become a movement that people were learning about, he was already demonstrating mediumship to the royal family in Sweden. So he was open, very open to spirit, as I believe many famous and life-changing men have been over the years. Carl Jung, J-U-N-G, was an amazing man, and many people today really respect his counseling and his advice and his teachings. And you would think that his doctoral dissertation would have been on something to do with medicine, wouldn't you? It wasn't. He wrote this very important document about mediumship because his cousin was a medium. Opening minds. These people opened other people's minds and opened their eyes to the truth of what today we call modern American spiritualism. We had a very, very important gentleman here. Oh, before I move on, I have to tell you, Dr. Jung, at a point in his life, absolutely knew his home was filled with spirits, and he was not at all shy about telling people so. And he also did a lot of automatic writing. So we wonder how much of his career, of his assistance to other people, came from spirit. Closer to home, we have Jim McConnell, James Robert McConnell, who is one of the founding members of this church. His name is on the charter back there. And, you know, a lot of people have said, well, you know, there were other people whose names are on that charter too. The one star quality, as far as I'm concerned, is James McConnell loved and worked in this church until he took his last breath. Others came and went. I mean, okay, they set up this church, they established it, they founded it, but then drifted away after some years. Now, in all fairness, 3 that I know of did make their transition, and they too were very involved until they moved to the higher side of life. But Jim set a good example for all of us. Actually, he started out a Baptist Sunday school teacher. He had a horrific accident. The vast majority of his body was seriously burned, and he was in a coma for 3 weeks. Everyone assumed, the doctors assumed, he would not survive. But he did. But he did. And he said, now, he's a Baptist Sunday school teacher, he said when they would have to immerse him in water and debride the burned skin, which is unbelievably excruciating, I'm sure, the nurses would cry because they knew what they were doing had to be so painful. And he said, he told them, don't worry about it. I don't feel a thing. Because he wasn't there in his physical body. He was up here watching. He became a spiritualist after that experience. He saw the world of spirit. And he was extremely aware of the love that he felt when he visited the world of spirit. It was unlike anything he had ever known. And shortly thereafter discovered, are there accidents? I don't think so. Discovered this religion, and it was his life for the rest of his life. We owe a great deal to Jim McConnell. He helped form our bylaws. He helped form our procedures. Thank you, our procedures. He did work very closely with our national organization, because in our parent organization, you don't just say, oh, I'm going to start a church. It's like, if you're going to be a part of our organization, this is how it's done. Jim and I didn't always agree, and we both felt free to say so. And no matter how heated the discussion might get, he'd always end it by wrapping his long arms around me and leaning way over and saying, I love you, hon. And many of us got those kind of hugs from Jim. He had a license plate on the front of his car that his wife at that time had made for him that said, I love everybody, you're next. And he truly felt that way. He might get angry or aggravated about somebody's words or actions, particularly if they were hurtful to someone else. But he still loved the person because he knows. He knew then, he certainly knows now. We are all related. We're all God's children. There's a spark of the divine within. You know, dads don't have it easy. They don't. And I know, ladies, moms don't either sometimes. But I feel in today's world there is so much in the news about women's struggles and their hardships, and I'm not negating that. But let us not forget the importance of strong men in our lives as well. I was really blessed. I had a wonderful dad. Now, we didn't always get along either because I was just like him. We both had a terrible temper. But I learned very early on not to ever lie to him or anybody, but especially to him. And he said, if you ever lie to me again, because he caught me doing it, and I was very, very little. If you ever do it again, you're on your own. If I know you will never lie to me, then I don't care what happens in your life. You come to me and tell me the truth, and I will support you. I will be with you. He was raised by a widow of 6 children, and an English woman, and strong woman. And that particular side of the family had very strong morals and ethics, and sometimes could be judgmental. But my generation was raised to obey the law. If you don't like the law, then do what you can to change the law. But until that happens, you better obey it. You better not lie. There's no value to your character if people can't tell if you're telling the truth. Honesty, oh my goodness, honesty. Do not invade other people's privacy. Do not go into someone else's mailbox. Don't open their mail. Never mind, it's a federal offense. It doesn't matter if that person is related to you. You do not open their mail. You do not open their wallet. You do not go into their desk. I wonder if there are fathers today who are around the children that they sire to instill values in them. And you know, you have to do it by deeds. Words mean nothing. We know that. But I was blessed to have a wonderful father who did serve time in World War II and did have horrific memories. But he taught me to be a patriotic person. He taught me the value of the freedoms we have here in this country. And then Jim McConnell was my stepdad after my daddy passed. And Jim really put me on the right path in this church. I knew nothing about spiritualism when I walked through the door the first time. And he encouraged and pushed and sometimes dragged me into learning more about it and learning how I can serve Spirit, not on Sundays, but every day of the week. I had a wonderful father-in-law. And Ron will tell you his dad was a remarkable man, a teacher. God bless teachers. They really do form the future of our country. It's a shame more parents don't work in conjunction with that. My husband's a phenomenal father and grandpa. And he did not let anybody get away with just any old thing. But oh man, our boys, our grandchildren know they are loved. And they're crazy about their dad and grandpa. I hope you had someone wonderful in your life. Someone who mentored you, encouraged you, helped you find your strength. It may not have been your father. It may have been a teacher. It may have been a minister, an uncle, a cousin, a big brother, a friend. But it's important to know what your values are, to know what you believe in, to know what makes you a stronger, better person. There was a movie that I just caught the tail end of yesterday on television. And as it came on, I saw a young boy, maybe 10, sitting on a bench. And I saw a gentleman sitting on the other end of the bench, and this boy's mother was with him. And she said, well, I'm going to go into the auditorium now. You probably want to talk to your dad. And he said, yes. Well, turns out his dad was, some people would say dead. But the son heard him and saw him and did talk with him. And finally, the little boy said to his dad, Dad, what's it like to be dead? And his dad smiled and said, you know, it feels like home. It feels like home. But you're still here. Someday we'll all be together again, you and Mom and I. But you're here. And he said, you know, life is almost like a roller coaster at an amusement park. Wow, it can be scary and going slow when you're cranking up to that first hill. And then you take the plunge. And you can either close your eyes and scream and try to shut it all out, or you can throw up your arms and say, wow, what a ride. He said, son, you bought the ticket. As you go through life, most everyone is going to have those extreme highs and the extreme lows. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Celebrate it. Embrace it. You chose it. Thank you.